I prefer the new opening. I really liked that. I really
What?
liked your very Neil Young. I can see there's a heavy Neil Young.
All minor key. It's all minor chords now.
Yeah,
And
and there was
we went with
it
like
was it was
desolate
destruction and
destruction. Yeah, we're having a bad week, guys. I'm
so
having a
yeah.
bagel now.
Dan put up a new like background. It says "Dark Days Upon Us." It's all in black. Dan had a rough week. I had a rougher week, and
Oh,
so
yeah, you got me beat. I have no complaints compared to you, for sure.
really, it's
Mhm.
yeah. I had a all right. I had a real bad week.
So we're gonna jump right in.
Are we gonna do this? Or we're not gonna
We're
do
gonna
yours first?
Nah, we got to get the good shit first. I mean, yours
Oh
is
my
just
god. Yeah. All right. Let's just get into. I'm having a rough fucking like yesterday was one of
we're
my roughest days I've had in a long
they're
time.
calling it CARMAGEDDON.
Why
And
is it karma? What did I do?
CARMAGEDDON. Get it? Carmageddon? Armageddon?
But if it's okay, but it's not karma,
No, it's not karma. It's car
right?
Armageddon. Carmageddon.
Okay. Yeah.
Let me set it up.
Yeah. Please set it up. I don't know where. Please set it
You're
up.
too close in. This is
I'm
too
lost in the
real
sauce,
raw.
dude. Yeah. Reel me in. Reel me in
Okay,
with
so
all
here's
this.
let me let the audience know
Thank you.
what Bruce here has been dealing with. So Bruce
Thank
has
you.
a car, I believe it's a 2016,
Right.
and right on cue as the powertrain warranty expires, the transmission goes out.
Right.
Bruce is now, and this is a month ago.
This has all happened within the past 2 months.
Okay.
Everything up to this point, we've been going great with this car. Love it.
Bruce
But
is now faced with a choice. His choice is, well, he's got a few choices, but he can replace the transmission to the tune of $6,000 in a car that otherwise doesn't have much value anymore.
Right.
Or he can say, F it, just shit can the car and get a new car.
Right.
And Bruce decides it's kind of two bad choices. So he goes with the $6,000 transmission.
Yeah.
Which has to be ordered direct from the planet Krypton.
This is good. Go ahead.
It takes 2-3 weeks to get in. He goes with a reputable mechanic. This is a shop that's been in town. It's not some guy named Nunzio with his nephew. And Bruce pays the money. They fix the transmission. He's thinking, awesome, I'm set.
Right.
And then as soon as he starts driving the car again, intermittently, not every time,
right,
it does the same thing. It's almost like they didn't replace the transmission.
Right.
Bruce then is like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? So he goes back. The mechanic looks at it and says, well, it seems fine. And they can't replicate it. I love that one. They can't replicate it. They try driving it around. Of course, it doesn't do it for them.
No.
And they're like, well, so now they're almost gaslighting a little bit. And so Bruce leaves it there at some. Long story short, he has a bad night at the gym where the car does it again, and he says, fuck it. And he drives the car directly to the mechanic and walks 6 miles home. So I'm not even going to get into that decision making. I'm not even going to go there. But that is about as goy as it gets. So we are into full goy territory here. This is something I have never experienced in my life. I've never owned a car that's more than like 3 years old, first of all.
Okay. Yeah.
So Bruce is now fucked 6 ways to Sunday. They've got the car, and the guy says to him, "Look, we're gonna make it right. We're gonna make it right. We're not going to fuck you over." And Bruce is like, "Okay." So he leaves the car there, and then thinking, "Okay, they've got to figure this out because this is clearly it doesn't always do it, but it does it enough to where it's clearly a problem. It's not like it did it one time and never did it again. This is anyway." So let's get to the
is that where is that where you left it? That's
I know because I read your Facebook update. But let's get to the chilling conclusion of CARMAGEDDON 2024.
So the chilling I'll try to move it along. Please, if I start to meander, cut me off and let's move it along.
Go ahead.
So from where you left it off, it's like, okay, so now it's at the mechanic's place again, and the guy's like, okay, we're gonna make it right. And he's actually a cool guy. He's from New York, and he's like, so we're stuck in a bad place because he can't replicate the problem, but he's taking me on my word. He's like, okay, we're going to order you another transmission. I'll fucking get it from Hyundai. You already paid me $6,000. I'll do this for not a dime to you, but now we have to find another transmission. So I go there the other day. I just another thing. I was just doing errands or whatever using Rose's truck, and I just rolled in. And I did, that's another Goy thing I do. I just walk in without calling first. I just show up on Wednesday.
This is the mechanic. Okay.
Yeah, this is the mechanic. It's kind of a power move, right? I just like walk in.
And
I just
like,
kind of
what
walk.
the fuck, man? What's going on?
Yeah, I don't walk in guns blazing, but I just kind of walk in, just like, okay, what's going on? And so he's like, we got bad news, man. We can't find another one of these. We got 2 pieces of bad news for you, Bruce. We can't find another transmission. They're 2 months out on back order, and I can't give you a loaner. The guy says. So right now, that the head mechanic sees me, goes, come back to my office. So this, by the way, is like 2 days ago. So I go back to his office, and he sits me down, and he's not bullshitting. He's like, look, that's how it is. This transmission's way out. I can't give you a loaner. I don't know what to do. He goes, but I do have an idea. We're going to make this the Hyundai dealership's problem, you know? And I'm like, how are we going to do that? You did the repair. He's like, trust me. So he gets on the phone and he's talked to the Hyundai dealership, and he goes, before he calls, I swear to God, hand to God, this is true. He goes, look, we're going to do a little acting here. I'm on your side. You're going to play the role of a customer who's so upset that he's yelling at me, like really yelling at me. And I'm like, Steve, it's not going to be that hard to do. I feel like yelling at you. He's like, I know, but this is going to be, trust me, when I look at you, you yell. And like, you're a customer who's upset about the car. I'm like, oh, I'm already up. I'm there. You know,
okay.
I'm just keeping it under control. I don't want to do that to you. He's like, all right. So he calls Hyundai dealership and he starts going like, he's from New York, and he starts laying it on thick. He's like, you guys got to take care of this guy. I've done a lot of business with you. Hyundai's got to come up with you got to come up with a transmission somehow or a loaner. You got to get this guy and cut him in line. He's right here. He's really angry. And he looks at me when he says he's really angry. And I don't need to go ahead. I see what's going on, right? And I swear to God, I stood up and I pointed this guy dead in the finger. I'm like, okay. I was like, I was like verbatim. I did something like this. I don't care what the fuck this guy has to say about his rules and regulations, about goddamn fucking whatever the fuck. I want my goddamn loaner, and I want it now. You got to get a transmission, and you got to get it now. You can wipe your ass with the rules and regulations. You want me to come down there? I'll fucking come down. And dude, turned it up, like turned it up, right? And by the way, I'm doing it in this guy's office, and he's got customers out in the main office. And I'm like, so like the guy's eyes are getting big. So anyway, long story, we continue the charade back and forth. He's going to call me right back. I'm there for about an hour and a half in this guy's office, and he's calling Hyundai. He's going back and forth. I do more acting, more yelling, you know what I mean? And the guy's cool. He's like, you got to take care of this guy. He's in my office right now. I'm trying to prevent from having him go down to your place. This guy's nuts. And I started, like, when he said this guy's nuts, I'm like, you think I'm fucking nuts? You ain't say nothing yet, guy. I started like adding on. And it wasn't that hard to do because I felt like yelling anyway. Like, it came from a natural place, me yelling. So anyway, the guy successfully makes it Hyundai's problem. And this is 2 days ago. He says, I got good news for you. The good news is we cut in line and we got you a transmission. They had a transmission for another guy. We got that guy. So you're cutting in front of the line, taking some other guy's transmission. They're going to do it for you. Then another piece of good news is I had your car towed over to the Hyundai dealership. So now this guy, Steve, the mechanic, successfully made it Hyundai dealership problem, not his problem, even though I paid him the money, right? So I'm like, okay, that's fine. He goes, so now and so then the Hyundai dealership guy calls me last night and says, all right, Mr. Boyd, because he's the guy I was yelling at on the phone. I didn't realize it. This is Mike from Hyundai. And I had to be like, oh my God, this is the guy I yelled at. I'm like, yes, Mike, I'm sorry. I lost my temper. Whatever. He was like, we're going to get you a transmission. The car's being towed here. So my guys are going to look at it. And then when we see what the problem is, we're going to move forward with this thing. And we're going to get you the loaner for as long as you need. I'm like, that's great. But here's the thing. I'm going to have my guys look at it and see what the problem is. So what do you think is the worst case scenario when he says that sentence? And I go to bed thinking, this is great. I've got a transmission. They're going to put it in. By the end of my camping trip, I'll have the car back. Everything's back to normal. If we can find out what the problem is. Guess who can't replicate the problem again? The Hyundai dealership. They can't replicate the problem, right? And the Hyundai dealership is not going to put in a transmission if they can't replicate the problem. And so the guy, I'm like, you need to drive it around. how long have you driven it around for? So he calls up yesterday morning. He's like, I can't replicate the problem. And I try to remain calm at this point because now I'm ready to yell for real, you know. And he goes, we've driven it around for 15 miles. And I'm like, Mike, drive it around for 30. Drive it around for 30. She's going to fail. I swear to God, going to fail. He's like, okay, Mr. Boyd, one more. I can't have my guys doing this all day. I'm like, I get it. But this transmission is fucked. He's like, okay. Dan, he drives it around for another 15 miles. He calls me back. Mr. Boyd, I'm sorry to say, we did a thorough check on this car. The transmission works just fine. We've done tests, scans, every fucking thing. I drove it around for 30 miles. This car's got a clean bill of health. I can't find a thing wrong with it. You need to come down and pick it up. So, Dan, what do you think of the story so far? Like at this point, if he tells you that,
I'm going to show you what I think. I'm going to do better than tell you. I'm going to show you. Here it is.
Yeah. So
lighting money on fire.
This is bad because now I paid $6,000. I'm $6,000 in. I got a transmission who both mechanics can't replicate the problem, but I know that it broke down on me. And by the way, now I'm starting to think, yeah, gaslighting is a great word.
And it broke down multiple times.
Multiple times. And they're making me think that I'm crazy. If Ro wasn't in the car with me, I really would think that maybe I am going crazy. I really do. It broke down in an intersection, like while I was turning in traffic, it just dropped out again. So now, like both mechanics think that I'm nuts. And so now I'm on the phone. This is yesterday morning. I'm on the phone with Hyundai dealership, and the guy's like, car's fine, 100%, and you have to come pick it up. Now, Dan, I do give myself credit at this point for coming up with what I think is a genius move.
No. This is fucking amazing.
You like this?
This is Heeb stuff. This is what I
okay.
I knew what I would have done.
Okay, good.
What you did is 100% what I would do.
Oh, this brings me a little joy. So, because it's a dark story, right? And so the guy says you come pick it up. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, now listen, I got to be quick on my toes here, and I'm not the brightest fucking guy. I really am not. So, but the guy's talking to me on the phone, and I'm really upset. And he's like, "Come pick it up. Nobody can." And I'm thinking, I'm going to come down. And my, I think about worst case scenarios all the fucking time. I really do. I'm a prepper, and I always think about worst case scenarios. So I'm thinking this guy's like, "Oh, come down and pick it up." And I'm like, I know what's going to fucking happen, Dan. I'm going to drive down there. I'm going to pick up the car. I'm going to drive away, and it's going to crap out on me again. And then, so what do I do? What do I do then? Both mechanics aren't going to take it again. They just gave it a clean bill of health. They're going to think I'm crazy. They're going to fucking say, bring it somewhere else. And at that point, I'm going to have basically a rolling brick that's worth $0. What am I going to do with this car? Once it leaves the fucking lot, what am I going to do with this car? So I'm on the phone with this guy, and on my mind's thinking a million miles an hour. He's like, come pick up the car. And I take a beat. Now, remember, this is the guy who I was yelling at on the phone. He thinks I'm really nuts. So I kind of do a little acting. I go, Mike, give me a second here. I'm really trying to keep it together. All right. I'm really trying to keep it together. And that wasn't acting. I was like, I am trying to keep it together. So then in like a flash of genius, I go, so you're telling me the car's got a clean bill of health? That's right. You guys can't find anything wrong with it. It rolls fine. The transmission's fine. That's right. The transmission works. I make it repeat it several times. The transmission works. This car, you can't find a thing. You did multiple scans. This car's just fine. Just fine. You can't find a thing wrong with it. Nope. Well, if that's true, then it must be worth the Kelly Blue Book, and I'm going to come down there and have you guys trade it in for a new car. And that was a genius move on my part. Oh, yeah. Because now it's like, oh, it's got a clean bill of health? Really? Well, then now it's your problem. And I don't think he was ready for that because I told him that there's like this beat, like, yeah, so he pecks on the computer a little bit. He's like, yeah, my guys did a, test. Everything seems to be fine. You can do that. But now he's a little bit happy because these guys are happy to take cars. They need cars to sell on the lot.
Of course.
But I mean, this car's got a bad transmission, but maybe he thinks it's car. I don't know. So anyway, I tell Ro the plan, and Ro's, she's not happy. She's not happy, and she's right, because you know what? Guess who told me don't spend $6,000 on this car? Right? Back in the day.
Look, man, I am not ceding the money. I'm the Jew. Okay.
Yeah.
I know she's Asian. I get that. And they're good too. But I'm the Jew. And the Jew trumps the Asian. I'm here to tell you.
Right.
There was no good answer.
Yeah.
To the problem. I can qualm me. Yes, someone could give you shit for spending that, but there was no good answer. It was either that or get a new car. Basically.
And the new car option would have been a lot of money right off the bat, like a lot of money.
Right. And let's be honest, I would have assumed like you that the 6,000 is a permanent fix. Like
100%. I would have assumed, because I'm getting a replacement.
I am not in agreement with her on that.
Okay.
And again, now the difference is I don't put myself in these positions because I have newer cars and this would never happen.
Yeah.
But
you're not around to see the track record that I have of making bad decisions. Like I've got a
but I'm here to tell you that this is not one of them.
Okay, thanks. So anyway, let me get back to it. So now I do that genius, what I think is a genius move. I'm like, okay, you want me to pick up? So now I'm thinking, I don't want them to move. Now I'm thinking, I don't want them to move this fucking car. Like, I don't want them to move it, even in the parking lot. Because the minute that they see,
you know what though, now you've put yourself in a great position, because if they do move it and they see it doesn't work, they're like, oh, I guess it doesn't. I guess
I mean, that's the thing. But now you have to either, there's a fork in the road. You have to either go, it works, I'm going to sell it, or let's continue to see if we can get it to break.
No, you did exactly the right thing.
Right.
So when you cut bait.
So I cut bait, and I'm like, okay, let's do this. So I'm like, bro, let's go down there. So real quick, she understands what I'm doing, and she kind of agrees with it, you know. And she gets online real quick to see what kind of trading. It's a Hyundai dealership. She's like, what do they got for sale? They got this. She's like, you're not buying another Hyundai again. I'm like, absolutely not. I'm never buying that brand again.
No.
She's like, they got other cars for sale. What do they got? She looks on their online inventory. She doesn't see anything at all that's worth, you know, the inventory, whatever. By the way, you also check out the Kelley Blue Book. The car Kelley Blue Book is worth anywhere from 3 to 6, right? Not worth that much at all. And I'm like, okay. So we go down there, and by now I'm like, I'm a bundle of nerves, because I'm just messed up at this point. And she's with me, and I'm apologizing to her for having to drag her through this fucking nonsense, right? So I go down there and we talk to the guy, and they put me over to the salesman, the swarmy salesman type guy. Hi, I'm Izzy. You know, I'm gonna fucking take care of you guys, whatever. So I'm like, what do you got on the lot? And he's like, how much you looking to spend? And I'm like, I can't spend more than $12K on any car. I'm going to trade in this car for 6. I'm going to put 3 down today and put me on payments for the other 3. And Rose looking at me like, where are you coming up with those numbers? And I'm like, I'm pulling them out of my ass, you know. And then the guy looks at me, and goes, honestly, we got nothing for that. We've got 2 cars out there for that. He shows me I'm not interested. So now, so on the drive down there, I'm talking with Ro, and I'm like, what do I do worst case scenario if I don't find a car they like, and they want to pay me just cash to buy the car? And she's like, they're not going to give you much. I'm like, I know. But I'm in a bad position where they kind of hold all the cards. Like, they can say, I'll give you $900 for this car, and I'm going to take it and walk out of there. I'm not driving this car off the lot. The minute I drive the car off the lot, it's going to fucking break. I'm in a bad position. So now they kind of hold all the cards, but they don't really know it yet. But they think they got a car that works just great. So long story short, I'm like, I'm not interested in buying and trading it in for another car. What will you give me cash just to get out of here? And he pecks away, and my heart drops, because I'm thinking he's going to give me a low number, and I'm fucked. I'm already $6K into this thing, you know, whatever. I'm thinking he's going to tell me $500 to $900. Hand to God. And Ro is thinking you'd be lucky to get 2,000. Ro's thinking you'd be lucky to get 2,000 for that thing.
Wow.
Because this is cash, right? Or check or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because they think it works. They think they're dealing with a good car. The guy says, I'll give you 5K for it. Now, my heart almost drops, because I'm like, wow, that means if I do the math, if I do my Goy math, if I spent 6K, but he gives me back 5K, that means I only made a mistake worth 1K instead of 6K. I still have no car, which sucks.
No, this is a dream come true.
So that's not bad. So the guy goes, okay, I'll give you 5K. And I look at Ro, and her eyes got a little wide. She knows, take that fucking deal. Like, she doesn't want to tell me in front of the guy, but I can read her facial expression. She's like, yeah, fuck, you take that fucking deal. So I'm like, okay. So, and of course they want to do it quick. Now, I had to do a couple of things. Like, I had to go out real back and get my stereo system out of the car. This is an amplifier from that loud concocted stereo system I had. And you could see it, the wires, I just yanked it, right? So yeah. I'm out there just yanking wires. I don't know if I damaged anything. So I'm just, and you have to do it quick for some reason. They're like, okay, we're taking off the plate, take everything out of the car that you want, and let's go. And just, whatever. We're going to sign you a check. Here's going to send you a check in the mail for $5,000. And I'm like, you sure? You told me 5,000. And they're like, yep. And because their mechanics told them that it's a working great car, that there's nothing wrong with the car. So, okay. So I leave there and I put the picture up of the car again, me with the car. So this is the last picture that I had Ro take of me with my Veloster. Now, Dan, I love this car so much. Like, as you know, I drove around that Fakakta big truck for most of my life. And you yourself had said that, you've always driven new cars and stuff like that. You never have this problem. Up until 5 years ago when I had this car, I had never had a new car. I've always had a huge hunk of junk, always. So this car to me represented a time in my life where I was actually sitting on top of the world with a fairly new car that had air conditioning, that always started when you turned the key, that was actually comfortable to drive and you could actually trust it. Like, so I'm trying to this car gave me 5 fucking good years. And by the way, like you said earlier, right when all this happening, guess what I got in the mail? The fucking title. Hey, congratulations. Right. You just made your last payment on this car. Here's the title. So I had that title in my hot little hands for no more than 2 days until I brought it in my backpack down to the Hyundai dealership and just gave it to them for $5,000. Yeah. So, and it sucks. So I left that roof rack with them to try to give, that roof rack is specific to that car and it's a Thule roof rack. It's worth well over $1,000. But I took out the stereo system. The car itself, I mean, it doesn't have any cosmetic things. I mean, it's, it's got 87,000. So I'm going to check back in. They're probably going to sell it for 12 or 14 on the lot easily.
Wow.
But it sucks because now, but I think, but now, but here's the thing. I did okay, but that car's going to be on the lot. Think about what happens now. Someone's going to say, hey,
oh yeah, someone's fucked.
Someone's fucked. Someone's going to come in there and be like, oh, I'm interested in that car. What's the deal with it? Oh, well, it's got a new transmission. Everything's great. Okay. They take it for a test drive. Maybe a test drive is fine. Great. The guy buys it. Guy's going to drive it around for a couple miles. It could fuck it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, I couldn't ethically sell this car to another private party, knowing what
I
know.
No. You did exactly the right thing.
I'm pretty moral flexible. I'm below being a
They
scumbag.
obviously, look, man, they gave you a high-end blue book for it, so they obviously think you're crazy.
They think I'm fucking nuts. And maybe I'm so glad you used the term gaslighting, because that's where you try to make the other person think they're crazy. Yes. You used it accurately, and that's thinking about it. That's exactly what they did. Mr. Boyd, I can't see, I know the tone they're using with me. They think I'm just doing something wrong. And that's the true thing of gaslighting, because I've got myself thinking, did I fucking shift the car wrong? If Ro wasn't there to see it, I'm nuts. So anyway, it's been a long story. It's been a long journey. And it was a rough day yesterday, and I have no car now. Now I have no car. I had all these plans of things to do for the next couple months, right? And I got to tell the radio audience, I got to tell the podcast audience that yesterday I called Dan, and I'm like, Dan, I might need to borrow some money. Dan is like, hey, I got you, buddy. Dan's like, I got you, buddy. Dan is really a nice guy. I don't care what anyone says, And so, but it turned out the way it turned out, whatever. And I made that Facebook post about it, and I tried to keep it light in tone, because people post a lot of shit on Facebook, woe is me and stuff. And I realized, look, I'm on Facebook all the time, and people got real fucking problems on Facebook, man. People got cancer diagnoses. They're losing, people are dying. I'm like, this is a fucking car. And Ro tried to snap me into some, Ro was like, Bruce, this is a fucking car. You can do without a car for a month or two. It's not the end of the fucking world, whatever. And I'm like, okay, but I'm really running out of money at this point. I don't want to get another shitty job. I want to keep just being an artist and doing that. And so I'm worried about that more than anything. If I have to get another shitty job and work 40 hours a week, it's going to crush my spirit, and I'm not going to do any more artwork, and that whole thing is over. So that's the main thing. And I don't think it's gotten there yet. My main move now, and I've got a lot of Facebook friends at a big social circle. So I've already got a lot of people. Hey, my buddy's got a car. It's worth. So that's what I'm going to do next. My next car is going to be probably $5,000-6,000. I'll buy it from a person, and it'll probably be. See, this Veloster I actually liked. I liked the way it looks. I liked the way it drives. I felt good about it. I felt cool being in it. I was proud to be seen in the Veloster. My next car ain't going to be that way. I can't afford to be that way. My next car is going to be like a fucking beige, like it's going to be a horrible car that looks bad. But my next car that I want, I just want it to work. I don't care what it looks like. I really don't care what it looks like. I just want it to work. So that's where I'm at. And it's probably, but I had to like cancel all my things that I've had coming up. I've got things that I wanted to go to in May. I was going to go out to the desert and do more art and all this stuff. I took all that stuff off the table, all canceled plans, you know, and I'm just going to be stuck at home for the next couple months. I'm going to be at Rose fucking beck and call. When I need to go out and get something done, it's going to be like, hey, can you bring me out? I feel like a loser. I feel like, and by the way, I'm out here in Arizona. It's getting hot now. I'm not getting on a bike anywhere. Are you kidding?
No,
you think I'm going to get on a bike at 100?
No,
like,
no.
I'm certainly not going to spend money on like Uber or anything like that. So yeah, I'm like housebound again for like a little while.
Yeah.
But look, like I said, it's a bad situation. It's a shit sandwich. I needed to take a bite. The only good thing is that I came up with that idea on the spot that you think it's a good car. How about you buy it? How about that then? And they did. So that's my tale of woe. Dark days are upon us. Now I don't have a car. I spent $6,000, and ultimately that first mechanic who got to do the repair for $6,000 kept the repair. I mean, look, he got one over on me if I really think about it, but he did sort of try to make it right. But ultimately he shifts the blame over on Hyundai. He kept on telling me, he's like, Hyundai parts are not good, blah, blah, blah. I'd stay away from Hyundais. And I told him, if Hyundai parts are so bad and you run into this problem so much, shouldn't you have a sign up front that says we don't work on Hyundais? Right? And he's like, well, it hasn't gotten to that point yet, but I'm like, okay, whatever, buddy.
Yeah.
So I'm in a bad place mentally. I really am. But I'm just trying to sort of get over it. Talking about it helps. Having friends like you helps. Having a good partner that, you know, is not too thrilled with me right now, but it helps. So that's where I'm at. Dark days are upon us. Now I got no fucking car. I feel like a complete loser.
So,
you know.
I mean, why don't you just get yourself a car, man? I mean,
so I'm gonna. So I told Ro, I said, look, because I'm an extremist, right? So I tell Ro, she's like, Ro, what's the plan? I'm like, we're gonna go camping. We had this camping trip planned for a really long time. It's a family camping trip. We're gonna go out to the woods for like a week with the dog and everybody, right? So she's like, that'll be good to sort of, and it's, by the way, it's good that this chapter is closed before I go. Like, I wouldn't want to go camping and the car's in the shop and all the shit is happening while I'm out in the woods. Like, I wouldn't even be able to focus on shit, you know? She's like, okay, now that chapter is closed, we can go camping and you can whatever. So, and I'm like, she's like, what's going on? I'm like, I'm not gonna have a car for 2 months. May and June, everything planned for May and June is off the books, and I'm not gonna get another car till July. And she's like, she sort of stepped in. She's like, I think you can get a car by the end of May, you know? And I'm like, really? She's like, yeah. And she's like you. She's like, I'll help you out. I'll do what we can do and whatever. So I made that Facebook post, and already I've got a large group of family and friends who are like, hey, I know a guy. How about this car? Blah, blah, blah. And so I started, the cloud is sort of parting a little bit this morning. I'm like, oh, I think it's possible. I mean, there's going to be a little shucking and jiving. You know what I mean? I got to figure some little moving shells around to try to figure it all out. But you're right. I think I can get another car, and I can get it in about a month, and maybe June isn't a complete wash. And I'm thinking I'm not going to go to a dealership again. I'm going to go to a person, spend $5,000-$6,000. I want to spend about $5,000-$6,000 on a car, something, try to have it like around 100K miles. Realistically, I can't afford much less than that. And just some sort of car that works. And I really don't care what it looks like anymore. When I bought this Hyundai, I wanted something that was cool and sexy that I liked, right?
Yeah.
This next car, I can't afford that. I'm a realist. You can't afford a car that you think looks cool, dude. You're lucky to afford a car. So I've humbled myself a little bit, you know, and so that's where I'm at. What do you think about all that?
Telling you, man, you did what I would have done. I think in the end, you're out of grand. It could be way worse.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm bad with math, and we were watching a movie last night, and I'm like humming and hawing, and she's like, "You still upset?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I paid $6,000, and it's like I feel like I just burned it." She's like, "No, you're not at 6,000. You're at 1,000." I'm like, "How do you mean?" She's like, "Well, picture it like this: if you spent 6,000 on the repair, but then you got 5,000 for the car, that leaves you that means you're 1,000.
Yeah, you're also out the car. But,
yeah. But you're also out the car. So she's like, think about it like this, Bruce. Think about it like you broke down on the side of the road somewhere,
Mhm.
and it's a complete loss, and you had to pay $1,000. Say you were out in the desert somewhere, and the car completely broke down, and you had to pay $1,000 to get it towed somewhere. Think about it like that. You broke down, the car's done, you had $1,000 to tow it somewhere, and it's beyond repair, and that's that. And I'm like, somehow to me that does sound better, right? Like, I don't know, like it somehow
I
sounds
just
better.
think you have to let it go and just say it's cost of doing business, you know?
And I gotta tell the radio audience that, like, I called Dan during the middle of all this, right? Knowing that Dan's more of an adult than I am, even though I'm older than him, you know, and Dan's dealt with like money and business and stuff more than I have. Like, I'm sort of childlike in that aspect. Like, I don't even understand that world too much. And now Dan is in real estate and he moves money around and stuff like this. So I called Dan. I'm like, Dan, I'm having a hard time because I feel like I'm out of $6,000. I'm ready to jump off a bridge. And Dan's like, dude, I lose $6,000 all the time. Dan is like, I do things at $10,000 come and go. There are bad decisions. There are karma. They're not karma. There's just shitty things that happen once in a while. And you got to take hits. It's the cost of doing business, cost of living in this world. And I told Dan, but I get upset when I go to Vegas. Like, I won't, if I lose $20 in the penny slots, I'm mortified. And he's like, Dan's like, well, look, I mean, you can't be that way. I mean, you know, this is, you know, so I appreciate Dan's advice on that. And I don't care what anyone says, Dan's a good guy. Dan's a really fucking good guy. But just to be there and like listen to me talk, and you know, so thank you, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, I just this is just crazy shit. I'm glad it's over, and I think in the end, it's $1,000 in the grand scheme of your life. It's not that bad, and you know, just get something this time that I don't know what to say.
What do you think? I mean, at this point, I don't try. Apparently, I suck at making decisions. Really.
I mean, if it's up to me, you get something newish to where at least you got a long warranty on it where if something goes wrong.
But here's the problem. I mean, I thought about this. I can't. I don't have a job. I don't have any source of income that no one's going to give me a fucking loan.
Yeah. I mean, I can give you a loan, but not for like enough to buy a new car.
No.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be that much in the hole anyway. Like, I think I can get I really do. I think I can get a car for $5,000-$6,000 that's up there in miles that, you know, but that get a good brand, get a Honda or Toyota. Every mechanic I've ever run across says get a Honda or Toyota straight up. Like,
yeah, those are good. Yeah, those are good.
I mean, they're good, and you'll have to make repairs and stuff like that, but at least it won't be like, you know, $6,000 for a special transmission that has been known to be bad right out of the box. That's what the first mechanic told me. He goes,
it's crazy.
Hyundai has parts, and I've seen where they send people replacement engine right out of the box, and it doesn't work, and people are stuck without their cars for 6 months, and they're getting the runaround. You know, and I'm like, yeah, shit. I've heard that. I don't want to talk too much. I'm glad you gave me a moment to vent about it. I don't know how interesting it all is to the audience. I don't
wacky though. This is like one of those things you see on the news, like, you know, there's the local man gets screwed. And
Consumer Reports.
Yeah, I mean,
Five on your side. Welcome to Five on Your Side.
I will say this to you, Bruce. I will say this to you as a Jew. I don't think at any point you made a decision that I would say was a bad decision.
Oh, really?
Because the $6,000, there's no good answer. You're either spending that or you're getting a new car.
Yeah.
One or the other.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
I can't honestly say that, you know.
I think you would have made that same decision if they're like, look, here's your car. It's 5 years old. It needs a new transmission. Yes, it's a hard thing to get. It's going to be $6,000. Or you could just sell this car right now, which even back then I knew was back then it had a bad transmission. Every mechanic knew it and would be like, I'll give you $3,000 for this. Right. So I made the right decision trying to get it fixed. But
I don't think he did a bad thing. So
that's my story. That's the dark days are upon us. You know, I made a Facebook post about it, and I knew I was going to make a Facebook post about it, but I didn't want the tone to be too, you know, horrible, because I do see posts where people, they got real bad things going on. Like, I've got a Facebook friend right now who is in jail for attempted murder.
Ooh.
I've got a Facebook friend who's in jail for attempted murder. She's a young mother, single mother, who had someone break into her home. She shot him with a gun, but it's in California. And so now they got to hold her because she shot a dude with a gun. and that's going to be attempted murder. They put her kid into Child Protective Services. Kid's never been away from the mom more than like a couple
That's
hours.
insane. So the guy was legit breaking in?
The guy was legit breaking in, but here's the deal. It was out at Slab City where no one really owns anything, and it's a bit lawless out there. But I mean, look, this woman's 100% in the right, you know?
Yeah.
But the cops have to investigate it. Someone got shot with a gun, and so now she's just going to have to sit in jail under the charge of attempted murder. And it's a really sad story. I'll talk about it another time. But like, that's the point. There's other people, and of course, I've got a lot.
I know,
of people,
man, but that doesn't mean you don't have a right to fucking feel the way you do.
I know, and I learned that. Like, I posted about it on my
Yeah.
Facebook page, and everybody's like, "Hey, man, you have a real, you're allowed to be upset at this."
Yeah, what happened to you fucking sucks, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
but like, but I think it's this weird, like, maybe it's a Goy thing or the Gen X thing, or maybe a combination of both. Like, I have this like trauma comparison type of thing. Like, like other people have it. You should always be thankful for the shit deal that you got. That's got to be a Goy thing. I mean, I don't know. But thanks for listening to,
Let's shift because I have a topic that we have to talk about, and it's Rush fans. Because
oh my God.
So I chopped up the music show into different small episodes.
Let me tell the radio audience that we made the last podcast. We were talking about different fan bases in the music episode. We talked about Rush, and we sort of shit on Rush fans a little bit.
No,
and Dan,
hold on. The segment was name a band you like, but you don't like the fans. Okay, so I like Rush. I said that in the episode. I like Rush. They're very, very good. I like them. Yeah. I've seen them live.
But that got lost in the hate. That got lost. So what's going on?
So it's funny because you get these people, fuck you, man. We're not douchebags. And it's
are these emails that you're getting or comments in your Facebook?
This is comments on the video, man. You should go to our channel.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, because on our podcast, so Dan made Dan made a 7-minute cut of the Rush part.
Well, Rush and AC/DC. It's about the two fan bases and why we don't like the fan bases. And
it's got a lot of views. It's got more views than any one of our podcasts.
So it's just funny because all these people are doing is proving my point. Okay. One guy in particular was fucking amazing. He was like, well, you're just fucking Christian Trumpers. So of course you will like Rush. What?
I'm a Christian Trumper.
But again, it doesn't even make sense. Let's say you were a Christian Trumper. What the fuck does that have to do with whether you like fans of a band? Funny. It's just one has nothing to do with the other. And of course, neither of us are that. I'm a Jew. It's right in my title, Heeb. Right there, buddy. Not Christian. So just for fun.
Did you get any hate for? Okay, go ahead.
Just for fun.
Right.
I went and I Googled, snobby Rush fans. I spent literally 5 seconds doing this for the show. And well, look at this. There's like a bunch. Well, I just own lonely being a Rush fan. If you like Rush fans, the track.
You Googled. Hold on. You Googled the term snobby Rush fans.
Well, I just figured I would see if this thing I've noticed has been noticed by others.
Is it a thing?
What do you know?
It's a thing.
There's even a thing on the Rush forum, an actual Rush fans talking about prog snobbery. This is not debatable. Prog rock fans tend to be snobs. That doesn't mean the music's bad. That doesn't mean we don't like the music. It just means
we absolutely talked about this when I was talking about Primus. Same fucking thing. Yeah. Anything that's sort of proggy or mathy or whatever. And I talked to Ro about this too. And she's like, I heard you talking about Rush in the room. Ro's like, I like Rush, And she's like, I heard you talking about Rush in there. What are you talking about? And she's like, did you, And I told her, I said, no, Dan was making the point that the fans tend to be a little snobby because the music is mathy and they tend to be like elitist because and she goes, you know what, you're right.
Yeah.
He's right.
I mean, again, I'm not trying to be a dick. I am a Rush fan. Yeah. I am one. Okay. But the one thing I do not like in music is what that guy did. They go, well, it's above your comprehension, bro. Because you must be a trooper or whatever it is. It's like the fact that you're trying to tell me I'm not smart enough to understand music, which is at its definition subjective. Okay.
I mean, I hate that. That's as bad as like some of the my child could have painted that. Well, you just don't understand. You just don't understand abstract art. It's like no. The person is allowed to like or dislike.
They like or dislike it. Period. And whether you deem them worthy of liking your favorite band is a whole separate issue.
And by the way, you know what else is funny? The more you have to describe. Okay, this is true in cosplay. I noticed about this in the world of cosplay. if you do something, which is a creative thing as well, if you have to make a cosplay or an art or something like or music, whatever, and people, and you have to, part of that is you explaining to people what it is and why you should like it, then it's a failure. It needs to work just on its own.
It does. Rush is
Yeah.
very popular. They're very popular, and these guys tend to be a little defensive because Rush was also shit on by the critics early in their career, and they weren't let into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame until very recently, which is ridiculous. Yeah. And look, I'm not arguing about the band. The band's great. It's just like, dude, you don't have to do that. You don't have to be that guy. You can just enjoy the band and the music without being that guy. That's all.
So you were really and you know what's funny about this whole, because Dan called me. Dan's like, oh my God, the Rush fans are fucking up in air about this, and I'm like, that's really funny because I do know, and this is the first time I've seen real evidence of it, but I've always read articles and I know that, like, negative engagement on any social media platform is more rampant and pushes the signal farther than positive engagement. And I'm like, wow, that's why, the hate posts on Twitter do so well. That's why, all these things do so well. And so, are you still there? Hello?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And so you froze. Your head was still. Yeah. I'm like, is he froze? But and I'm like, oh, so wow, our little 7-minute video that you chopped up of the Rush and the AC/DC fan is getting a lot of views. And I'm like, that's because people are all riled up. You know what? I should post that clip on like a Rush fan Facebook, prog rock
and
Facebook
it's
group.
Funny because we're not getting hardly anything from AC/DC people. They don't give a fuck. But like,
well, they will.
Rush,
if I take
no, it's not.
I'm going to drum it up. I'll tell you how I can drum it up.
I'm telling you it's not the same. I'm telling you 100%. I agree with what you said about AC/DC fans, but you do not. The difference is you don't have that weird needing to prove themselves.
Yeah, AC/DC fans won't care about that. But here's what I could do.
You just don't understand. I mean, and again,
well, by the way, like, you're right. If you were to Google, okay, so you Googled snobby Rush fans and it was a thing. If I Google snobby AC/DC fans, it doesn't exist.
No,
it doesn't exist.
It's a different thing. And
you weren't saying
they're snobby. You weren't saying they're snobby. You were saying they tend to be kind of boomerish and sort of.
So yeah, so that's what I was going to say. Like, if I made the AC/DC clip and I posted it on like a Boomer Best Generation page, right?
Oh,
then which I might do.
I still say it'll be nothing compared to the Rush fans. In my life, man, I have been amazed by them. And again, yeah. Rush, I like the band enough where I don't even care. You can be a dick, you can be whatever. I'm still gonna like the band. I don't care. But
I've got two really good friends that love Rush. They're both in the Banditos, right? And they're both drummer friends of mine. They love Rush and they love prog rock and they love all this too. And I know when they hear this, they're just gonna be fucking mortified. And
I just don't. I'll tell you something, man. I am the biggest Iron Maiden fan you could ever find. I'm a huge.
I know that about you.
But if you say I fucking hate Maiden, they suck. I don't care. I just don't care.
Yeah, but that's you. But other people would. I know, and you think that's okay. I know you do, and that's probably a pretty enlightened thing to be, like, honestly. But I know a lot of people, if you attack what they're passionate about, even though it doesn't make too much sense, they will get defensive. That's just human nature.
But I get it. But my attitude is, it's music. It's subjective. You don't have to like it. I'm not trying to prove anything to you.
Well, Dan, that's why you're a patron of the arts, Dan. You're an enlightened patron of the arts.
I don't care if you don't like. Now, look, if you say something that I think is not fair, like an unfair criticism, then I'll correct it. But if you just say I don't like them, that's fine. I don't care. I don't think there's something wrong with you because you don't like Iron Maiden. I don't think that you're just not smart enough to get it. I'm not that guy. I'm just not that guy. And that's the thing about prog rock fans. And again, I like a lot of prog. I like Rush. I like Yes. It's not that I don't like the music. It's just, can you just enjoy the music and not fucking give me a can you not give me a TED talk? Can we skip the TED talk?
Yeah.
Just listen to the fucking
Primus was the same. I'm telling you, Primus in the 90s was the same sort of way. And there's another band that I touched on a little bit, is Tool. I don't like Tool too much, but I don't despise Tool. But they're very mathy, and it's like they are just fucking. There's even a genre of music called mathcore, and like it is just the crazy time. You can't even bob your head to it. You can't even bob your head to it because it's fucking all over the map. And it's just like, I don't get it, man. But anyway,
No, I'm with you. It's an odd thing. So that was what happened this week. I have some few other things, but it's Friday. I got to do some shit. I got work, but I wanted to get your story out there, man. Is moved by
Get my story out there. I'm also like, I'm getting ready to go camping, and just like, so this whole chapter on the car is over. And, when I get back, I'll deal with the car and try to deal with that. But I did have plans, for like things that I was going to do on Memorial Day weekend. I was going to do these things where I go to these festivals and I set up an easel and I do art, and it's not just fun and games. I'm promoting myself, right? And I would sell art and I would push the Etsy page and all this. And so all that is sort of put on the back burner for a little bit. But the dark days are over. I think the clouds are parting, you know what I mean? And there'll be it's kind of it's been a bummer, the whole journey. But and when I had to walk away from the dealership and leave the car there for the last time, I love that fucking car. I love that fucking car. So in the course of like 3 months, I had a big old Mad Max Chevy and I had this little Velocity. Now I got nothing. I got neither one of them.
Well, when you're done camping, man, we'll work together. I'll help you too.
Dan also, I'll say Dan's got a little project for me to work on, some sort of tech thing.
Yes.
So put me to work.
That's ramping up soon.
Okay, good. I need to do something. I'm not a hazer. Let me use a Yiddish word. I'm not a hazer. I'm not a schnur. If I'm going to get a little something, I want to do something. So I'll do it. Let's go.
All right, audience, we're going to run. I got to get some shit done on this Friday. I wish I had Bruce's schedule. I do not, sadly.
We'll see what happens with Bruce's schedule. I'll probably go back. Who knows what's going to happen with me?
I have a grad party this weekend I got to go to. I have many graduation party for my friend's daughter. The one who's going to be on the show. She's graduating college.
Oh my God. Really?
So, yeah. So I'll have some stories.
That could be a little, let's see what happens.
I'll have some stories next week. So you guys, everyone out there, stay Heebie. And
and go back and listen to the theme song again and watch it, because that was good. It was.
Here, let's do it just for fun. We'll do an out. I'm going to do an outro.
Do an out. Okay, we'll talk. Have a good one.
Have a good one.